Right in the heart of Kuala Lumpur, there is a huge battle going on. And we're not just talking about any small issue, we're talking about multi-million-dollar deals, a place with deep, deep history, and a community that's being pulled apart. So is this just the price we have to pay for progress, or is it something else? Is it the plunder of a historic home? All right, let's get into it. Yeah, you heard that right. This is not just some quiet disagreement over property papers. It literally exploded into violence. We saw residents clashing with authorities during a forced eviction, and the image that really stuck with everyone was a senior police officer, the Dang Wangi OCPD, bleeding in the street. That one moment just blasted this local dispute right into the national headlines. So the stakes here are incredibly high. So, the big question is, how on earth did we get here? How did a redevelopment deal in a village that's been around for 76 years lead to actual bloodshed? Well, to understand that, we need to unpack the whole story. The people, the place, and of course, the insane amount of money that's on the table. First things first, you gotta understand just how special this place is. We are not talking about some remote compoundment in the middle of nowhere. No, this is a living, breathing piece of history, smack bang in the middle of a modern city. To really get what's going on, you have to know that this community isn't new at all. It was set up way, way back in 1932 as a Malay agricultural settlement. For over 76 years, we're talking generations of families calling this place home. So when these redevelopment talks kicked off in 2016, it was never just about land, it was about their legacy. But things really, really heated up when the land was acquired in 2021, right in the middle of the MCO lockdown. And here's the kicker. The thing that makes everything so complicated? Location, location, location. Kampung Baru is literally a stone's throw away from the KLCC Twin Towers. I mean, from some of those old wooden houses, you can just look up and see that billion-dollar skyline. This isn't just any land. It's some of the most valuable real estate in the entire country. So with land that crazy valuable, you can bet any development deal was going to involve some staggering amounts of money. But the real question is, was the offer they put on the table actually a fair one, or was it, too good to be true? Get this, for some of the individual homeowners, we're talking about a single terrace house here, the total compensation package was valued at up to 8.1 million ringgits. That is a life-changing amount of money, no matter who you are. So you see, this wasn't just some lowball offer for most people. If you owned a flat, you were looking at a brand new condo unit worth up to 1 million ringgit. If you owned a house on land, you could get anywhere from 3 to 9 new units, with a total value shooting into the millions. And on top of all that, they threw in extras like moving fees, money for renovations, and even rental subsidies. It's a pretty sweet package. And honestly, it was enough to convince the huge majority of the residents. But hang on, if the deal was so good, why the protests? Why the violence? Why are some residents still fighting tooth and nail against it? Okay, let's flip the coin now and look at the other side of the story. And this, right here, is the absolute core of their money argument. The folks protesting say the government's offer is based on a valuation of about 400 ringgit per square foot, but they argue that because they're right next to KLCC, the real market value is more than 1,000 ringgit per square foot. That is a massive difference. Suddenly, that multi-million-dollar package starts to look a whole lot different, doesn't it? If this breakdown is giving you a clearer picture, hit like and subscribe so you'll always stay ahead on Malaysia's biggest issues. But, for the people who are dissenting, it's about way more than just the ringgit and sen. They've basically got 3 big arguments. First, the loss of heritage. They see Kampung Baru as a one-of-a-kind Malay cultural landmark that you can't just replace. Second, as we just saw, the unfair value of the land. And third, a deep, deep feeling that the whole process was unjust. Just listen to this quote from a resident representative. It really says it all. The government acquired their land in June 2021. Now think about that timing. That was the peak of the MCO lockdown. The protesters say they were literally trapped inside their own homes. They couldn't meet up, they couldn't organize, they couldn't negotiate properly. They felt like this massive decision was just forced on them when they were at their weakest. So that's a pretty powerful case from the resistance, right? But to get the full picture, we have to understand why the government, the developers, and even the majority of the residents themselves are pushing for this development to happen. Well, the government's number one point is pretty simple. It's democracy. An overwhelming majority of the residents, we're talking nearly 89%, have actually agreed to the deal. So they're arguing that they're just carrying out the will of the majority who want this to happen and want to get their compensation. So their official justification really rests on a few key pillars. First, that majority support we just talked about. Second, they insist that the compensation package is generous and will absolutely be life-changing for hundreds of families. Third, this isn't just some random project, it's a crucial piece of the bigger Kuala Lumpur 2040 city development plan. And finally, their last point is basically, it's too late. The deal is too far along, contracts are signed, and it just can't be reversed now. Now, it's really easy to look at this and just see one single conflict. But if we zoom out a little, the story of Kampung Baru is actually a perfect example of a much, much bigger challenge that all of Malaysia is facing. Let's compare the Kampung Baru situation with another recent one over in Jinjang, which involved a long-standing Chinese community. Now, the details are different, yeah? In Kampung Baru, the residents are leasehold title holders, which just means they own their property for a set time, like 99 years. And for them, the big fight is about compensation. Over in Jinjang, the residents didn't have titles, so their issue was about resettlement. But look at the common theme. In both cases, you have long-term residents getting pushed out for urban development. This shows us that this isn't a racial issue, it's a nationwide development problem. And that right there brings us to the biggest question at the heart of all of this. This fight in Kampung Baru really forces all of us to ask, as Malaysia keeps growing and modernizing, how do we build the cities of the future without destroying the communities from our past? How do we balance progress with people? Join thousands of Malaysians who want clarity, not confusion. Tap like, hit subscribe, and let's keep making sense of this together. So we'll leave you with this question to chew on. When progress and heritage smash into each other like this, is there ever a clear right answer? Does a city always have to choose one over the other?